My friends and I pulled a double shift and were written up. We threatened to quit. Our boss threatened to fire us, so we left. Back in high school, me and 5 of my friends started working at a grocery store. We were trained to work evening shifts, but didn't really know the closing procedure since we were all still relatively new recruits. One particular night, we were all working the same evening shift when we were asked to pull a double and cover the night shift. Apparently, most of the employees had come down with some bug and called out sick, and no one else was willing to come in. Being the broke high school kids that we were, we said yes. Essentially worked from 5 in the evening till after midnight. It was the 5 of us and a manager who usually worked the afternoon shift, so he wasn't very clear on the closing procedures either. We closed the store as best we could, cleaned up and went home. It was exhausting, but we all felt good that we'd stayed. Some of us were looking to get promoted, and we thought this showed our initiative and dedication to the store. The next day was a Saturday, and the 5 of us came in to work the afternoon shift. Again, broke high school students. We worked as many shifts as we could take. Right after we clock in, the day manager calls us into his office and tells us that we were being written up because we hadn't refilled the ice freezer, emptied the trash, or cleaned the break room last night. Stop, but first, your crush will come into your dreams if you like and subscribe in less than 5 seconds. If you don't like and subscribe, this creepy spider will enter your mouth while you sleep tonight. We tried to tell him that we hadn't been trained to close the store, so we just did the best we could, but he didn't want to hear it. He eventually threatened to write us up again for arguing with him. The guy had a massive ego, which is when I'd had enough. I wanted a job to earn money, but it wasn't worth dealing with this. We'd selflessly pulled a double shift and all been given permission to go home by the night manager, so I thought this was bullshit. My friends apparently agreed with me, because when I expressed my frustrations with my manager, they all backed me up, collectively threatening to quit if he wrote us up at all. His response was to threaten to fire us and write us up a 3rd time, so we all took off our aprons, handed him our name tags, clocked out, and left. It was a beautiful sight. Saturday afternoons are usually the store's busiest times, and since my friends and I were the only cashiers on shift, none of the lines were open so people couldn't check out. I should mention that this was over 20 years ago, before self-checkout was a thing. The day manager was the only person left up front, and as we walked out, we could see him scrambling to open up the checkout line while making an announcement over the intercom for all shelf stockers to report to the front. I went back later that night to do some grocery shopping with my family, and it was an absolute madhouse. Only one of the 7 checkout lanes was open, and it had a line that stretched far back into the store. The cashier was the day manager, who looked like he was about to pass out from exhaustion. I'll admit that this was one of the few times I enjoyed going grocery shopping, watching my former boss deal with an endless wave of customers and groceries. My friends and I eventually found jobs at a nearby movie theater, which had much more understanding managers, by the way, and we all laughed about our old job. From what I heard, that manager was eventually let go by the owner for poor management skills, and that's the last I've heard of him. 20 years later, and that's still the best way I've resigned from a job. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.